Bam, we're live. 2 minutes early.
I gotta figure out how to get my headphones on.
I was oh whoops. I was looking at YouTube comments and someone said the show without the Sevan podcast without Sevan is better. And it has 38 likes. Doesn't anyone think I have feelings? Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Man, I made this post. I made this post where Trump's saying, I don't know when he said it. I think it's recently, but he basically said he's expressing concerns about how the Biden administration is hiring people based on their skin color and sexual orientation and all that instead of merit. And so I recorded it. You know, I just pointed the camera at my TV set while I was on my assault bike and I recorded it and I posted it. And man, it's really triggered this one guy. He is going fucking nuts. People, if two wrongs don't make a right. Like if your argument is like, well, Trump did the same thing. Like you sound like a 13-year-old, but you did it. By the way, if you have a mate that does that to you, like if you're like, hey, dude, you left the garage door open for the third night in a row. And then your mate's like, well, you leave the back door open. Run from that person.
You left the windows unlocked.
Right. They only get 2 days a month to act like that. Yeah. Just run from that person.
I saw hot dogs and beer.
Yeah. Just run from that person. Like their argument is always that two wrongs make a right. Just run. It's idiot world. It's fucking idiot world. Well, you know, Trump hired. I mean, they have Steve Buttigieg. He's the look at the people in the cabinet. They got Steve Buttigieg. They got the House press secretary, she's the like I'm the first black lesbian. Steve Buttigieg is the first gay guy. They got the assistant secretary to health, who's the first trans. They got Kamala Harris, who's the first black woman. I mean, it's like, hey, can I just get someone who's there on merit? Just one.
Like they've earned their way up. Here's their pedigree in here.
And don't conflate the issues. There's nothing wrong with like, I'm all for the president of the United States being a gay black woman, blah, blah, like you get at, but can I just get one with merit? I just want one with merit, hired on merit. I see, is it Hottie or Harry? I see him there, but I don't see his video, so I can't bring him in.
I know.
But Mr. Singh, if you hear us, just turn on your video and we'll bring you in. Or not.
I was thinking the other day when you were like, hey, it's the same thing as if you're like, hey, we hired this chick because she has big boobs. Yeah. It was like based off aesthetics. And I was like, wait a minute. We got it wrong a little bit. That part is right. But also you have to think exactly like us. Because you could be one of those colors of those other things. But if you have a different opinion, oh, wait, now you're the enemy. So two qualifications. We base it off aesthetics and the diversity, but then at the same time, you have to think exactly like us. If not,
if you want to get hired in the Biden administration, you not only have to have giant tits, but you must also, because we hire based on tits, that's the criteria. But then we also you have to think exactly like us and think it's okay for 12-year-old kids to snip their penises off. You know what's crazy too is this person in the comments said the reason that they're making these requirements for they're putting these like the diversity czars and like DEI czars in every single department now in the government. They're trying to do that. That's what Biden is trying to do. And someone argued to me, it's not to make sure that they hire people who check the boxes, the black, Jew, lesbian, one-legged, pygmy. It's that they want to make sure that those people aren't excluded. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, does this person really believe that, what they just said? They think that they're putting these people in to protect it. Okay. They think that there's people in the government who are like, okay, we're not going to hire that woman. She's qualified, but she's black. Get rid of her. And the diversity czar is like, wait a second. They think that the liberals have actually told themselves that. What's weird is every day you can see 20 examples where they actually openly are racist or sexist or homophobic and hire people based on those qualities. Like, let me give you an example. They just lowered the running standard for New York City police officers for the 1.5 mile time so that more women would be hired. And I was arguing this with someone, and they're like, well, they should have a man's time and a woman's time. No, they should have a police officer's time. And they kept pushing it. So finally I said to the person, listen, you're trapped under a car. It's on fire. Do you want it to be a woman or a man? And it's a trick question. You don't want it to be either. You want it to be the most qualified person. Hey, they're doing it with surgeons. It's crazy. Yeah, well, of course, more fat men would get hired. I'm just saying that the article said, Audrey, that it was to allow more women to get hired. It was in the New York Post yesterday. But what's crazy, I see that every single day. They're not even hiding it. These DEI councils they're lying to you. They're not to protect what they call marginalized or minorities or whatever. They're not there to do that. They're there to exclude qualified. They're there to exclude qualified white people. Everyone knows that. They're not even hiding it.
You can now walk the 1.5 miles and still be qualified to be a cop. What happens if you have to run? Well,
there should be a woman's time and a man. No, there shouldn't. There should be a cop time.
Hey, do you feel that same way with like pull-ups and stuff?
Women do have better dexterity when it comes to surgeries, though. Yeah. So if that's true, then there'll be more women surgeons. Yeah. It does. Yeah, exactly. Like, fine. I don't care. If every single person who did surgery was women because they were better, I endorse it. I would love oh my God, look, somewhere over here in South America, there's actually a male surgeon. This is incredible. And then you find out he's not really a male because women are just so much better at it.
Good. Higher success rate in surgery. That's what we should be going after.
Right. Same with birthing children. The people who do it should be the best at it. Well, I don't know what's going on with Harry.
I think he tried to get the video up because I saw it click off, like turning the video off, and then it clicked back to the screen and he's gone.
Yeah. Someone, I guess, someone sent me a DM. I guess when I had Michael Casu on, they're like, dude, Trish was so funny in the comments. You missed one of the best comments. Trish was talking about breastfeeding off your stepmom. I've never felt I've never oh my God, I'm missing out. The comments are so good and I'm stuck with this guest. But when I heard that, I felt a little like, what's that? What's FOMO stand for?
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. It's something like that.
Yeah, a little FOMO.
Oh shit.
Trish
how was hosting the show? How was that? How was it doing the show?
It was good. It's definitely like I was making the analogy that I'm like watching, you're like Mal O'Brien doing that last workout, and I'm like sitting there, and then I see you do it. I'm like, oh, I got this. That was so easy. I'm not gonna be as good as him, but I'll still be up there. And then it starts, and you're like 2 minutes in, and you're like, oh shit, this was way harder than I thought it was gonna be. He made it look too easy. But it was good. It was a good opportunity to just give it a try. But it's different when you're sitting co-pilot versus when you got the controls in your hands. I'll tell you that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what's funny is I about 40 minutes into the show, I came home and I asked my wife, I'm like, do you think I should log in? She goes, no, it'll fuck everything up. Then there'll be like 2 dudes holding the steering wheel.
No, I would have let go of it so quick and be like, oh, like moved you in and dropped me off, and I'm out.
But I liked it. Sevan, you even pulled up the comment I did pull up the comment where Trish said that. Damn it. Matt did a good job. Good. Music to my ears. If you go to YouTube, they're talking about him like he's some sort of fucking god.
She did a 69.
Matt did a good job. 6.9 out of 10. Good. I feel better. People were like telling like he's an 11 and shit over there in YouTube land.
I was too afraid to look at the comments.
Oh, they're so good. Everyone
I figured
loves
somebody would give me a good bashing at some point.
That show probably has the most haters.
Because it's just the Wild West of people that are watching live. You mean it's not like our familiar group?
Yeah.
Familia.
Like those are the ones who are probably like, The vaccines only killed us 3 people. The VAERS is completely wrong, and those 3 people deserve to die. They were, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's that group.
Ivermectin is horse warmer.
My grandmother lived 3 more days, and if some teenagers had to die, that's fine. I mean, it's for the greater good.
If we just save one life and a few others die, okay. If we save the lives we want to save,
yes. So those people were fucking glad I was gone.
I still got a fact joke in there.
When Brian, you did?
Yeah, when Brian came on, I was like, he just popped on, right? And I go, Brian, what's up, buddy? How you doing? And he goes, good. And first I made a joke about him being held hostage, but then I get into it and I'm like, hey, how's the event? What'd you see? What was it like? You know, what was the crowd like? And he kind of gives a short answer. And I go, okay, do you see anybody collapse? Any athletes just fall over? And he kind of looks weird. I was like, sorry, we had to get one vax joke in there, guys. Come on.
Thank you. Hey, do you want to text Harry?
I did. I texted him and I said, he asked if we could see him. And I said, no, try logging out and logging back in. So I'm waiting to see if he pops back up and logs back in.
Okay.
Let me resend the link in that thread and just see if.
Okay. And we could reschedule him. Oh, look. There he is.
Device is not connected.
We could tell him we could always reschedule him too.
Oh, Chris felt that.
There was a nice tension between Souza and Friend. Oh, good.
Yeah, I think he was kind of like, who?
When did he come on? I didn't even know he was coming on.
Like last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes. He was when he got back to the hotel, he jumped on.
I got this book. Greg gave me this book the other day. Did you see it? Did I show it to you?
Yeah.
It'll be at his house today when we're over there.
Awesome.
It's so funny. I made a post on my Instagram and someone's like, that guy was a heavy drinker and he had heart conditions already. And how dare you put him up there? You don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's kind of cool about the vaccine. It kills the people with heart conditions already and the perfectly healthy people. Like, I don't understand people's logic. Well, that person was sick already. Like the vaccine didn't kill them. They'd already had 3 heart attacks. Okay. Well, how does that disprove my point?
It's funny that they found that logic now, but not when they were doing that with the COVID deaths, right?
Right.
Got in a motorcycle accident. Oh, got a COVID.
Right.
Nobody questioned it. But now when we have these weird shit happening to people that it should not happen to, a demographic of people that you would presume being very healthy, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, did you guys see he had a soda and there's something weird going on?
We have some very bad thinkers.
Yeah,
in the world
to think. I feel like we weren't taught to think.
I saw two Harry. Is his name Harry or Hadi? Hadi Singh? It's 1 R.
Yeah. That's going to be our first question.
I keep seeing his window trying to log in.
Yeah, it keeps popping up. That last one popped up, popped away.
Ask him if he wants to reschedule and then we could run a test.
Okay.
I wonder if he's not on Chrome.
I asked him to I double checked that. Yeah.
Oh, Jason Waddell. I'd rather listen to Jason run around his apology and talk like a politician than listen to Taylor. No shit. Well, that's an incredible comparison.
Yeah, he's on Chrome.
That's an incredible comparison. Hey, Brandon, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you about the comments, the shit people write. Philip Kelly, Jason couldn't answer anything. It's so interesting. I read the YouTube comments sometimes and I'm like, did these people like listen to the show? Were these people like, were they not listening to the same show that I was listening to? It's a trip. Kenneth DeLapp applying for the executive producer role. 3 more minutes, Harry, and then we're calling it. Guys, I'm so nervous. In all kidding aside, Caleb's about to get his hours all switched up. There he is. I see him. He heard the 3 minutes and you're out. And now there he is. Yes, brother. God, I love technology. How are you?
Okay.
Never mind. Oh, that's it. Jody Lynn. That's a fine line from Jody. The oldest affiliate with the oldest technology. It did look like my it did look like my 480 camera. Let me see if
We get a little further each time. Okay, here we go.
It did look like my let me see if I can add my there you go. There we go. Look there we go.
Oh man, we need to get those chairs filled. We made that nice table and those chairs. It looks good in there. And then so we got those cameras pointed at them too, right?
Yeah. Sort of. It's still a shit show. Hey, you know what's weird? You can't hear me. Like you can hear me now, right?
Yep.
But if I
yeah, no, definitely can't hear you.
Okay, interesting.
I felt as if I've grown in the past, that would have made me nervous being on here myself, the big screen. So there we go.
Vanished.
Yeah.
Stop camera. Hi.
Boom.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you sound so good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
What a mess. Nothing works. Nothing. Actually, I mean, I was freaked out. I thought, I'll send you the link 10 minutes before the show. I figured this will never work.
And you were right. It didn't work.
Yeah. Sorry. I can't.
Hey, but think if we would have sent it 26 minutes before, it would have worked. It was our fault.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry.
Because now 26, it's not a problem at all. This show's so fun. Good to have you. Where are you? Are you in your library? Your den?
Yeah, I am. I'm home. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Do you pronounce is that a typo in your name right there?
Yes, it's Hari, and it's just pronounced Harry.
Harry.
I'm on a cell phone that's tiny. I couldn't type it.
Are you Harry? I remember meeting you in New York. I was with Greg maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
We've met a couple. I think we met we've met a couple times. Yes.
Do you remember the last time? Because it was a pleasant experience. I remember we exchanged phone numbers.
I remember it was at Glassman's house. It was either a medical cert or something. It was something at Greg's house.
Oh, okay.
I remember your wife was there.
God, for some reason, I felt like it was in New York, and we went out to dinner. I must have it.
Yes. No. Now I think you were in New York with Greg, and we tried to look him up, and he was in for the night, and maybe you came out for dinner.
Okay,
that might be it.
It's a little blurry. You own CrossFit in New York City?
I do.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Hey, you could never get that name today, right? If you give that name up, it's gone forever.
That's right. I'll never give that name up.
Yeah. What if you sold that? Could someone keep it, or do names like that transfer?
I think I can sell the affiliate to someone, and the name would transfer, but I couldn't sell the name. CrossFit owns the name.
And the deal is, for people who don't know, back in the early days, you could get a CrossFit gym and you could name it either after yourself or after the city you're in. And then after a while, they stopped it. So like I couldn't do a CrossFit Sevan Matosian, and you can't do a CrossFit if it's the city, if it's a big city, right? Like New York City.
Correct.
Yeah. How crazy is that? How cool is that? And how long have you had the gym?
We affiliated. The date is July 4th, 2005.
Holy shit. I hadn't even found CrossFit. Oh, maybe I just found it. 2005. That is incredible. And Harry, how did you find it? How did you come across CrossFit? How did it cross paths with you?
I came across it on a couple of blogs. I think Art Devaney, his paleo blog, and I came across it on like twice in a week. And I went to the website, and I don't even know if CrossFit NYC quite existed. We were the 16th affiliate in the world, but as soon as an affiliate popped up in New York, I went and joined, and they didn't even have their own space then. They were in the corner of a gym, and the old story, getting kicked out. And I bought out one of the 4 partners in 2007, and it's down to just me now. You're
serious? You're the only one now?
Yes. The only partner in CrossFit NYC, yes.
And how many partners have there been in totality?
There were 4 original. Then I bought out one, and there were still 4.
So
And
that's 5.
no, I bought one out.
But I mean, that's 5 total, right?
Right.
That there's been.
There's been 5 total in the history of CrossFit New York City. Mike Pommering,
I remember him.
He owns CrossFit Gotham. After I bought him, I didn't buy him out. I bought out Keith Wittenstein, who's on the level 1 cert and circuit. And then I guess then it was the 4 of us, and then the 3 of us bought out Mike Pommering, and then it was Josh Newman, and Court Wing, and Josh Newman was evicted, went to jail. It's a special story in the CrossFit NYC history. And I recently bought out Court Wing a couple years ago.
Is Josh Newman out of jail?
He is.
He is. I heard he was just a good dude, but just with that bad business ethic. I never got to meet the guy.
I mean, he didn't go to jail for having bad business skills.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I was wondering too after you said that. It's like, oh.
Is it better just being a sole owner?
Yes, it is. I mean, I was running a mid-sized company when I bought into CrossFit, and I thought, I'm running this company all alone. It would be nice to have partners, and it turned out to be very difficult to have partners over the years.
Because why is that? Is it because like people can't agree on what kind of toilet paper to put in the bathroom, or is it because people are stealing from the company?
In Josh's case, Josh was not stealing from the company. Josh was convincing outside investors to buy his stock, sort of like guessing it. I don't have all the details, but sort of like in the producer scheme where he was selling his stock over and over again, to hedge funds, to very sophisticated investors, without us knowing. And without
stocks and CrossFit New York,
his shares, he was telling people that it's really difficult. Each one got told a different special story.
But he was selling something that you guys owned?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And we're talking to the tune of millions.
Wow. So he was a good salesman.
He was a good salesman. Yeah.
So I just want to see if I understand this right. I had no idea it was like this. You like, I could see stuff like so let me just give an example. Like supposedly one of the reasons why they got mad at James, there's a company called Project Veritas that it's a report, it's a bunch, there's a reporter there, James O'Keefe, and one of the reasons they're claiming they kicked him out is because he was using the company credit card to buy DJ equipment. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like he's a star employee. Like
yeah, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking, so this is amazing how this went down because, part of the process involved me spending an entire day with the FBI.
Wow. Shit.
Which you don't do without being seriously lawyered up, because being factually innocent is just the starting point that you want. So it was a very expensive process, but I explained early on, I knew that Josh I didn't want him touching the money. Okay. Let's just say that. So I set up the company and the partnership, with a white shoe law firm and a long agreement. And the way we ran the company since the day I came in, I wrote every single check, but I didn't have check signing privileges. Court Wing signed every single check, right?
Uh-huh.
Josh had no access to the checkbook and no access to the bank accounts, right? So you would figure, how could you possibly manage to do any sort of corporate, malfeasance with a ironclad system like that? He convinced people that the shares were in a fund that he owned and they should write a check to the fund. And this was in litigation for 7 years. There are emails where people would say, wait, I don't understand. Don't you need the consent of the other partners? He'd say, no, yeah, well, I made a thing. I sold the stock twice to myself so I could transfer it to you. the statistic
Sketchy.
of the final 12 litigants, they had 17 Ivy League degrees in total.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
Experts.
Double degrees, CFAs, MBAs, JDs, people, partners in white shoe law firms, because those were the easiest people to swindle. He was a Yale kid, and I don't know, he convinced them. There's stacks of public documents in litigation that would make your hair crawl.
The part I'm tripping. Oh, there he is. Okay. Oh, his girlfriend's pretty. Or his wife. Uh-oh. Hey, so this guy was basically just selling shares of a gym that you own. Did he sell other stuff too? Like, was he involved in? It just seems like it would be like, if you're going to do sell stuff, I just can't imagine selling a gym being the smartest way to make money. Why didn't he sell fake diamonds or something?
It was at the high end of the CrossFit craze. We were the biggest in the world. We had 500 people in the Open in 2012.
Wow.
That was a big deal. Great space. And it was really taking off. And, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it. But, the New York Times wrote 4 or 5 articles on his background in Deal Book. And he'd done a series of ventures since he was a student at Yale, and they all involved people getting massively burned, it seems.
How much time did he spend in jail? Do you know?
I was there at the sentencing. He got sentenced, I think, to 39 months, but I think he got out after 21 months or 24 months. About 2 years. So
for you, it was a headache and cost you a shitload of money.
Yes.
How was his was he a good CrossFitter? What was his Fran time?
Yeah, he was fit. He wasn't, none of us were going to the games, but he was a competent coach and a good CrossFitter. Yeah, sure.
God, what a trip. Okay, and then so did you want to end up owning the whole thing, or was it just people were just bailing?
Nobody quote bailed. I mean, there was legal stuff with getting Josh out because of the agreement had clauses for if you do fraud or that sort of thing, you're out.
Right.
And it was tough buying out court at the end, but there was a lot of pressure with the lawsuit and expenses and that sort of stuff, and it got easier. How
about like Keith though, and Mike and in court? Eventually, they just wanted to sell, and you're like, okay, I'll buy.
Keith was the first one. I bought Keith out, and that was very pleasant. Keith went on to found CrossFit Virtuosity, which is still one of the oldest affiliates. And Mike Pommering, the 3 of us bought him out. We agreed on a price. Those 2 things were simple. The Josh thing was a shit show that went on for years and involved a lot of litigation and this criminal investigation and him going to jail. And court, at the end, it was a fight over, the last partner buying him out. And I think we reached a reasonable agreement.
And the gym's open 5, 6, 7 days a week now?
Oh, yeah, we've been open for a while. You mean post-COVID?
Well, that too, but I just mean since 2005, it's up and running. Like, you have clients. You're not just holding on to the name, running this thing out of your garage. It's a gym.
We run 120 classes a week.
Holy cow. And so, so if you were the 16th gym, you literally are now the oldest gym
I think that's right. I don't want to misstate it. On the list of affiliates, we moved from 16 to number 4 before they took down the list. And when I looked at 1, 2, and 3, their websites weren't active. And so I assumed that they're not an active affiliate. Maybe they were saving the name. I don't know. So if I'm wrong, somebody should definitely correct me if I'm number 3 or 2 or whatever. But
I'm going to give it to you until someone says different.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you. That's crazy. 2005. Holy shit. The only one, I think Curtis Bowler was for a long time at the top of that list with his gym in Washington. And then I think he closed his gym down, but didn't get rid of the name. I think he moved it to his garage or something.
I think that's correct. I think if you go to that website, it's not up, or the site's for sale, or it's something else. The three that were above me, Hyperfit was above me, and someone else I can't remember right now. And they may be active, but it didn't look like they were. I just don't know for sure.
How many members do you have, Harry?
Right now, we're down to an all-time or a low for the last decade of about 700.
Holy cow. And are you still running this other business you have?
No, I've retired from that about 7 or 8 years ago.
And so the gym is your full-time gig?
Yes.
And what is your role there? 700 people sounds just crazy.
I mean, my role was holding it together for the last few years during the brutal lockdowns of COVID in New York, and experiencing the joy of being a non-essential business.
Yep.
So that was extraordinarily challenging, and it still is. We have two locations. Our main location, which is just in southern Midtown on 28th Street, that's not back to 2/3 of what it used to be, because people still work from home, or they're only in the office 2 or 3 days a week. So someone who used to be 5 days a week and for their membership close to the office now is in the office 2 or 3 days a week. So they're not so sure that they can get value from a membership. So it's just not back to normal.
There's two locations?
Yeah, we have one on 28th Street and one on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
One time I went to a gym in New York City to film an athlete. Her name was Jillian Munsey. Do you know who that is? Do you remember her?
Yeah, she was in one of our first locations. Jillian, that was around 2008 or 2009. She went to the games. She came third. She was a member at CrossFit NYC. Yes.
And that gym had an elevator that you took up, and then it opened, and you were in the gym. Is that right?
Yes. That's not the place we're still in. We gave that up about 12 years ago. We now have a much bigger place, and we have our own staircase instead of an elevator.
What? Well, okay. That place in Jennifer, is her name Jennifer Hunter Marshall? Was she an instructor there? The girl who's on the L1 team now?
She has CrossFit Garden City. You may have seen her there. She, I recall she used to train some private clients there, perhaps. But she started with her husband, CrossFit Garden City. We're good friends, but she wasn't. I mean, maybe she did teach a couple classes for us, but I don't remember that.
Okay, and she was there training with Jillian. You know what's interesting? This is totally off subject, Harry, but I remember Jillian Munsey showed up to the games. I think it was in 2009, and everyone expected her to win. And then I think Dave opened the games with a long run, and she got really pissed, and I think maybe she dropped out. Do you remember that? That was kind of crazy.
I seem to think she came in third, but I.
Okay. Maybe she did. But she was pissed. I remember because she came there. She was capable at everything, but not the run. I think maybe she took last in the run.
I mean, that would be like 2008 or 9.
Yeah. It was 8 or 9. Yeah, I can't remember. But she was a freak of nature.
Yeah, she was.
She was kind of one of the first real athletes we had in CrossFit.
Yeah, she was one of those that in the day could do 100 handstand push-ups, that sort of.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, and she had, for those of you back then, she was the kind of person also who did a 3-minute Fran, but then wasn't breathing heavy, and people criticized her for not pushing hard enough. Do you remember that shit? The debates about her. Why isn't she breathing heavy?
I don't remember that, but she was. I'm sure she still is a great athlete.
Are you coaching at the gym, Harry?
I don't coach. I do all the business stuff, and there are people who coach better than me that I can hire, and so I do. You know, it's a big operation. It's like if you're running an airline, I don't need to fly, and I don't coach. No.
What happened in New York City during COVID? I'm still shocked when I hear stories about Los Angeles where people like actually quarantined. Like I hear about people who actually stayed inside for like 6 months or a year or 2 years. It was like that in New York too, right? Like people like really bought the shtick and went, and the whole place shut down.
I had Governor Cuomo, who was the number one lockdown guy in the.
Yeah, he killed a bunch of old people, right? He put old people into I mean, literally, he sent old people into nursing homes and they died.
I agree that's an accurate assessment.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so can you kind of walk me through the nightmare?
So, when it first started, I thought they're not going to shut down New York.
Yeah, that's what I was tripping when they shut down New York and Las Vegas. I was like, that's impossible.
I think they first shut down San Francisco or LA, and then New York couldn't be outdone. So they immediately, within 6 hours, shut down. And then, of course, all of this shutdown stuff is done by executive orders. So there's no actual laws in place and process. These rules it's like, martial law. They just start dictating and making stuff up. So there was a lot of that, and it was very ugly. But what I found out a month or two into the lockdown was not everyone was locked down in New York. I found a restaurant that was open behind, blacked out windows, and I thought, I wonder if we could do this. But I was, pretty nervous about it. And then what happened was Cuomo had issued so many of these crazy edicts. One of them was like, you can't gather in groups of 3 or more, some totalitarian sort of thing. And so the ACLU sued him. And as often was the case with Governor Cuomo, the day before he was going to go to court, which was in May of 2020, he updated his executive order, and it said, well, you can gather in groups of 10 or fewer for any reason at all, provided you maintain social distance and sanitary things. So I decided that, well, I don't know, read this carefully, and it looks like you can do gatherings of 10 or fewer. So we started doing gatherings of 10 or fewer.
How many months in was that? Would you remember how long were you closed?
May of 2020. But unlike some other gyms, we didn't make a scene about it. I didn't go on Tucker Carlson and say, F you, Governor. What we did was, we're lucky we're not at street level. We're upstairs or we're in the basement at a location. So we made a schedule with a class every hour and 15 minutes with a 15-minute transition between classes. And we locked the doors and we opened it during the transition, and we went in one door and out the other.
Wow.
And speakeasy.
I emailed our members and said, look, here's the articles. Here's the link to the Times, Post, the Daily News. It says you can gather in groups of whatever. We think this means that we can have a gathering at these times if you make a reservation and obey the rules and blah, blah, blah. If we find out that we're wrong, we'll stop. So I sent out 250,000 emails over the course of that lockdown time. We never got in trouble. No one ever turned us in. We don't know to this day whether we would have been right or wrong if someone had made a scene. But, the way it worked is if you get caught, the first time you get a warning or a $500 fine, and by the third time it's $1 billion fine. Yeah. We never got the first fine. So
wow.
Who did you send the emails to? Those were to your members.
Well, yes, we sent it only to our members because we said you have to make a reservation, so that it was truly like a dinner party. They did. We didn't have a front desk. They had to reserve. They had to, and we told them what we were doing. And it was a small percentage of our members, maybe 20%, but we were able to function through that.
Did you get a lot of hate from some of your members who were like, "Oh my God, you're spreading polio"?
Zero.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, literally,
that's awesome.
Thing. Somebody says, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." Okay, then they don't do it, and we took them off the mailing list, and we didn't ask them again. We didn't say, where the hell are you? You got to come to the gym, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
But there's a certain percentage that wasn't crazy, or wasn't coward, and came, and so we offered that service. No one was forced to take it, but if they wanted to, they did.
It's interesting, and the reason why I ask is because there were people. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Santa Cruz, just south of San Francisco, and there are people here who, they've lost. They don't even care what the purpose of the mask is. They just think that it's unfair if you're not wearing it. You know what I mean? So I could see people being like, "Hey, that's bullshit. It's unfair that they're going to the gym and I'm not," and they take no responsibility. But I'm glad you didn't get any pushback.
We didn't get that, but again, we didn't make it. We didn't make a scene.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
incredible. I didn't make a scene, and I still got a ton of it. City stopped by, got letters. Members got pissed off.
Oh, you know, the city did stop by, but you know, the doors were locked, and we didn't run classes in the middle of the day because we figured out that the people stopping by weren't going to stop by at 6 a.m.
How about your landlords? How are they with giving you leeway with rent and things like that? Were they good to you?
We had very good landlords, but you know, I was on top of it from day one. In fact, before we even shut down, I was in talking with the landlords, and they were reasonable, and I'm very pleased with our landlords. They were very fair, and we did the best we could, and they did the best they could, and you know, New York City's got massive commercial real estate on the market now from people that just failed and, you know, didn't fail. And so they work with us, and I'm grateful for that.
Wasn't there also a mass fleeing of people from New York City?
Oh yeah. I mean, especially in the better neighborhoods where people had the resources to go to their Hampton house or get the hell out. Yes. I mean, New York was a ghost town for several months.
And people just basically packing up their lives and moving north too, right? Connecticut, Vermont. A couple families I know did that. They're like, fuck it. They got out of their brownstones in Brooklyn and they just went north.
Oh, yes. Lots of people left. And especially since you didn't have to go to work. It wasn't just I'm getting out because there's COVID. Right. I don't have to be in the office. So why do I have to be in New York? I can't go to the restaurant. I can't go to the movies. I can't do any of the things that I'm in New York for. So why should I be here? I can do Zoom calls from wherever.
Yeah.
Right. What about CrossFit HQ during that time? And any help from them? Any direction? Any?
HQ is really good. I mean, right from the beginning, Greg Glassman was calling people. I was on a call with him, you know, very early on. He kind of went through the affiliates in order. In fact, he was very sympathetic. He put together a fundraiser for the affiliates. He did everything he could. That I can't think of anything else that HQ could have done under Glassman that it didn't do.
And then from there, the Floyd 19 comment came, and the company was sold. Did that freak you out? Were you like, oh shit, what is going on?
Well, what happened was, it wasn't simply that the company was sold, that we started getting change.org petitions to de-affiliate from CrossFit. Everyone was getting pressure to de-affiliate. And so there was a lot of that. What I figured out early on in the chaos, or maybe not early on, maybe after Glassman resigned, but all the petitions, all the emails, it wasn't coming from my members. It was coming from people who had never been to CrossFit NYC, or people who had dropped in at CrossFit NYC. So they knew of us, and they had some, you know, they had an email from when they registered for a class that they used to do it. But our grief came primarily from non-members, from drop-ins, and from just the public at large. So I didn't really realize it seemed like there was just much more furor, but it was amplified by I think disproportionately. And that really burned me on taking drop-ins for a long time. For 2 years, we did not take a single drop-in for a couple of reasons.
Wow.
One, when we were doing the gatherings, right, we couldn't have people dropping in because, you know, someone goes, found the only place in New York where I could get my wad on, you know. Those people were we were most concerned about. So we took 0 drop-ins for 2 years. We just didn't want people who had no skin in the game or, you know, no obligation to the affiliate. We just didn't want to deal with it. And we didn't start taking drop-ins. And by the way, we have had more drop-ins than anyone in the world, right? We're the biggest CrossFit in the middle of Manhattan. Sooner or later, everyone passes through here. So we used to do lots of drop-ins. We just stopped.
Completely. Can you give me like 10 drop-ins a day, 20 drop-ins a day?
We probably did 200 drop-ins a month.
Okay.
Oh, so that's significant revenue.
Yeah, well, it wasn't going to be 200 drop-ins a month during COVID. Maybe it would have been 40 or 50 or whatever it would have been. But
okay.
We just stopped because, you know, it was a very strange time. Even when lockdowns ended, then there was a transition where the governor allowed gyms to be open, but the mayor had to one-up them and say, well, gyms can be open, but you can't have classes. Nobody really understood what the hell that meant. So we just continued doing whatever we're doing. It's not a class. We just locked the door and you know, but it was just such a mess. But our members knew the procedures. They knew you show up less than between 5 and 15 minutes before class, the door's open, you go in. I didn't have the resources to deal with drop-ins who show up when they show up, expect help at the front desk, want to buy a t-shirt. You know, one of the things that came out of COVID is we don't have a front desk operation anymore because during COVID, I figured out the front desk exists for 2 reasons: to handle drop-ins and to sell t-shirts. And the sum total of all the profit we were going to make on drop-ins and t-shirts during COVID didn't cover the cost of staffing.
Wow, that's interesting. You have 2 locations. Are and you're taking drop-ins now?
We started, and I changed the way we do it. We sell a 3-pack. 3-pack's good for a year.
Okay.
So the people who, let's say, come to New York a couple times a month or whatever, they make for good business because they have an obligation to not be jerks when they come in. I mean,
right.
Let me back up. 9 out of 10 people that drop in, or 19 out of 20 people that drop in, are not jerks. But there's the 1 or 2 that just go on a rant and they complain on social media.
They pee on the toilet seat.
Yeah, they you know what it is? There's a small percent that treat the affiliate like a loaner car.
Yeah.
Only here once. I'm not going to wash it. I'm not going to. Yeah. So with the 3-packs, and we find that those people are like the best drop-ins we've ever had. Since we started 3-packs, we've had literally not a single problem with a single person. Whereas we used to have, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 would be a problem. And now we have no problems. And so, occasionally people say, wait, I'm only in New York for 2 days. Well, it's good for a year. And that's our option. We don't do single class drop-ins because, again, we don't have a front desk. With the 3-pack, people figure out, here's your credentials to sign into classes. They have enough invested that they read their emails and they follow the procedures. Where people that are just, one of the things that used to happen is 10% of our drop-ins would you do all the emails back and forth, and then they wouldn't show. And then they want their money back because they didn't show. Good, if you don't give them their money back, right, then they're going to slam you on social media. Who have that anymore?
Harry, did you ever have any mentors to help you in the early days? Did you follow any protocols, or did you just figure this all out in yourself on how to run 2 successful gyms?
I mean, I figured out a lot of things the hard way, but I had run companies. I'd been to business school. I had experience running businesses. Running CrossFit, of course, is a unique thing. I made a couple of key decisions early on that I think have worked well, but it's impossible to know what the alternatives would have been. But for example, I decided early on that our competitive strategy or our niche, because we knew there were 22 CrossFits in Manhattan before COVID. I knew they were coming. I said, Ours is going to be the one that does just CrossFit. No CrossFit Light, no yoga, no basketball, no tennis and CrossFit. All we do is CrossFit. And that's been our strategy. You know, in some ways it's been helpful. In some ways it's difficult. You know, right now we don't have enough people, and it would be tempting to have more offerings, but, you know, we've stuck to this. All we do is CrossFit.
I don't want to overstate this, but it's anecdotal, but I feel like every once in a while there'll be a gathering of affiliates, or there'll be a reach out from HQ, and it seems like there's the usual suspects that HQ reaches out to. You know, the Ben Bergerons, Craig Howard, a CJ Martin, you know, maybe a Nicole Christensen. There's these affiliates that they reach out to and get together, and they take some pictures, and they're like, we're discussing the future of the company, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. Have you ever been a part of that clique? It's funny because you have these two gyms, and what's arguably, I mean, I don't know how it is anymore. I suspect New York's gone to fucking complete shit. But what really was the best city in the entire world, and this is coming from a guy, I've been to 100 countries. I've lived extensively all over the fucking world, and there was really nowhere else that was like New York City. But I don't ever remember you being included in any of these cliques. I don't remember. I don't see your name very often. It's kind of a trip to me that you have these two gyms in this powerhouse city where it would seem. But by the way, for people who don't understand, like, I'm not shitting you. They have like 300 square foot apartments there. It's basically you live in a closet for thousands of dollars a month. That's what rent is like there. Do you ever get ever get reached out, or are you ever used as a resource by HQ?
No.
Okay. Well,
I certainly don't.
When the question's 5 minutes long, and the answer is like no.
No.
I mean, I don't put myself out to HQ. I don't raise my hand and say I want to be on.
You don't want to be on the diversity council. What are you? What's your ethnicity? You could probably. What are you?
I'm half Indian and half Jewish. So I'm.
Yeah, that works. You could get on some. There's a council for you for sure.
I mean, I'd be half a vice president, right?
Did you used to be darker as a kid?
I don't think so. When I was a kid, I never met another Indian, though. And, you know, I was born in 1958. When I was a kid, everyone thought you're either Spanish or you're Italian. They didn't know any other dark skin or darker skin ethnicity. If I said I was Indian, they just assumed that meant American Indian.
I want to come back to this CrossFit thing, but I want to dig in on your ethnicity a little bit. Your mom's Jewish or your dad's Jewish?
My mom's Jewish.
And your dad's like Indian. Like, was he born in India?
He was born in India, and he somehow came to the U.S. in 1956 and managed to become a citizen before I was born.
And where did he meet your mom?
In New York. My mom was a rebellious kid. They met at the Limelight, some nightclub in the city. It's still there.
No shit. And was your mom's parents first generation here through Ellis Island?
I don't know. I ended up growing up in foster homes and didn't really keep touch with my mother or the details of my history. I'm not sure.
Why foster homes? Your parents didn't stay together?
Yeah, that marriage was a disaster.
Holy shit. Wow. And you were in foster homes in New York City?
Yes. And in New York City and on a farm upstate New York.
That's a crazy story. How old were you when you ended up going to, do you have kids, Harry?
I do not.
How old were you when you ended up going to a foster home?
2nd grade.
No shit. Were your parents involved in drugs?
My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a pill popper and, you know, very big on smoking pot, thought that was sophisticated. So not hard drugs, but hard enough, I guess.
Did you have a moment in your life where you were like, I can't imagine being separated from my parents in the 2nd grade. Holy shit. Did you have a moment in your life where you're like, holy fuck, I'm all alone?
Yes. And it was one of the most, yes. And I remember being in this foster home in Brooklyn, which was my foster parents were great. I had the best foster parents and I have no complaints about the experience, but I remember being depressed and sad and sulking in the corner. And my foster parents had an older daughter who was, in grad school, and she was engaged to this guy, Jerry, who I thought was the smartest guy in the world and was like a bit of a role model. He sees me in the corner and I'm all sulking. And I, probably start crying, exactly what you said. I'm all alone. My parents, this, that. And he looked at me and really made me look at him. And he said, you should never, ever, ever forget how you feel, because this is exactly how your children will feel if you can't figure out how to grow up to be a better parent than your parents were to you. And I would say that was probably the defining moment of my life.
How old were you?
10.
Wow, that guy, that takes some fucking wherewithal from that guy to fucking drop that on you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I was right. He was the smartest guy I ever knew. That was exactly the right answer. Anything else would have been for the moment, but that that lasted my lifetime.
Holy shit. Did you end up going, can you, how did you end up, what happened? When did you move out of your foster parents' house?
I mean, I was in 3 foster homes. I was in that foster home for 3rd and 4th grade. And then I was on a foster home. I had a brother and sister that I was separated from. And then we got put together on a farm upstate New York for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And then I went home to my mother. My father had died and my mother remarried. And I went back home when I was in 9th grade, but I was pretty much estranged from that day on. I, never went home. I mean, I got a job and went home to sleep.
Is your mother still alive?
She died recently.
Well, and how did that relationship end?
I mean, I was estranged from her from 18 till, I was 55. And then, some relative called and said, there was a fire and she didn't have a place to stay. And, I ended up watching out for her in the final year or two, just because I thought, not doing so would be spiteful. And I didn't want to be spiteful, but we were never close.
What a wild journey. The whole foster thing is and then you end up back with your parents. When you went back in the 9th grade, did your brother and sister go with you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are you close with them now? Are they still alive?
My brother was schizophrenic and he died on the streets at a young age. And my sister, I'm very estranged from. She's got problems, and I think, you either withdraw from a family like that or you get sucked down the vortex. And I for the reason I told you, I decided to go my own way and not go down that tube.
Wow, what a fucking survivor you are, Harry. You're a fucking beast, dude.
It's incredible.
Well, I read that you were homeless for 5 years.
Yeah, but I was by choice. I was fucking by choice. I was slaying. I was getting all sorts of. I had a fucking 100 girlfriends when I was homeless. I was fucking on top of the world. I fancied myself as the second coming. Holy shit. This is nuts. Does fitness have a part in your survival? When did you realize that exercise was important? And was that like a saving grace?
I don't think that I would put it that way. I remember what attracted me to CrossFit is I remembered that when I was in high school, I was doing training to do the Marine physical fitness test, which was perfect score was 30 strict pull-ups and 60 push-ups, and it was ridiculous. But I did that every day, through high school, just as a habit. And then when I saw pull-ups again in CrossFit, it drew me back. But I don't know that fitness has ever been a central part of my existence.
No shit, it's not part of it. So here's where I was going. I was like, oh, this kid had a fucking tough childhood, and so he uses fitness to medicate himself to sort of keep his head mentally straight, put himself in some oxygen deprivation, sweat, work hard, suffer. It's not that. It's not medicinal for you. You're not medicating with fitness. You seem like a perfect candidate for like an eating disorder and working out too much.
No, I don't have complaints about my life. You know, I had good foster parents. They were better than if I had stayed with my own parents. No,
Right.
I don't. I don't have these. I don't have regrets. I don't have things that I'm trying to work out that I'm aware of.
Right.
No, I don't have that.
Yeah. Wild. Well, you ever met any other Jew Indians?
Possibly not. Not that I can think of. That's a pretty unusual combination.
You ever met any Jew Armenians? Because my wife's Jewish, and now I have 3 Jew Armenians. I'm kind of proud of it. Like I feel like a scientist almost. Like I mean,
gems.
Jew Indian's pretty good. That's. I mean, it sounds like a really successful hybrid. Culturally, it sounds like you just kind of got 2 whack ones, but culturally, it could be a really powerful mix.
Well, I took this honors math sequence that had 10 kids in it. 5 were Jews and 6 were Asians. I got to be both.
Right. Yep. Hey, my son went to my wife took my son to his first tennis tournament, and in Lafayette, California. And I said, and I didn't get to go. And I said, how was the tennis tournament? And she goes, hey, dude, it's us, 1 black kid, and the rest are fucking Indians and Asians. That's it. And I go, how are they? She goes, dude, every Indian Asian kid's like a world-class tennis player at 7, you know. But it's interesting because you go to the skate park and you don't see any Indians and Asians. It's all just white kids running from their home. And then we go to the jiu-jitsu tournaments and it's all like Filipinos and Mexicans. Like we look like the blonde, blue-eyed people there. It's crazy. It's funny. I like it. Any plans on getting out of the gym space, Harry? What's your tolerance? How many more years you got in you?
Well, I'd like
till death do you part.
I'd like to get it profitable again. I'll sell it.
And how is your relationship with HQ these days? Do you have any? Is there anything you'd like to say to them? Any thoughts? Do you ever think about de-affiliating? I guess you can't think about de-affiliating because you're so. It's like it's like having a girlfriend who's so fucking hot, but she's batshit crazy. It's like because you got the name CrossFit New York City. It's wild.
Yeah, I'm never giving up that name. You know, we walked a fine line during all the hysteria, and we sort of got away from the CrossFit community, so we didn't have to hear negative feedback or answer to anyone other than our own people. But no, we would never. I'm very grateful to CrossFit HQ. They gave me the freedom and the flexibility to build this business. They don't ask anything of me. So I certainly have no complaints about HQ. I'd love to see it evolve a little more. I think that there's fundamental sort of history in place that's never been overcome. So what I mean by that is when Glassman set up the affiliate model as the lease rents model, and the idea was, you know, we license the name and you do your own thing, just don't diss us and use our level 1 program before you put a coach in front of the room, and that's it. More or less, I think that would sum up the obligations both ways. And then do what you want, use what equipment you want, set your schedule the way you want. And of course, that model worked, and it allowed CrossFit to grow to 15,000 affiliates or whatever it is today. But I think it's a stunted model because there is no alignment between the affiliates' goals and HQ's goals, and there's no collaboration. There may be committees and we have regions and we get together and we say, oh, you should do this, that, the other thing. And we'll put out a media kit and we'll put out some resources. But in general, the affiliates and HQ are not pulling in the same direction towards the same goal. And what I mean by that is, if I asked you, as much as you know about CrossFit, what is CrossFit HQ's strategy? Or what is HQ's goal? Can you answer that question?
I can tell you what Don says it is.
Go ahead.
To make it so that there's 30 million CrossFitters. And I can tell you what Greg's was a little different. Greg's Greg's goal was to spread the word of that we have the cure for the world's most vexing problem, and to protect the affiliates through legislation, litigation, and education. Those were. Greg wasn't so interested in growing it. He was more interested in protecting it from outside enemies.
Which agreed, and at different stages in the lifespan.
Not that he was against growing it, by the way. He wasn't gonna put his, like he said, I'm not gonna put my hand up the golden goose's ass and start pulling eggs out.
I get it. So, but let's do Don's goal.
Yeah, to increase to 30 million CrossFitters.
That's right. Yeah. How?
That's the question, right?
That is the question. Yes. Thank you, Harry.
Question, and then not only how, and what do I do to help?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the role of the affiliate in that equation?
I help you. Let's say I was on the same page as Don, right? That his goal is to get to 30 million, and I'm 1/15,000th of that business, which turns out that if you don't add any more affiliates, the average affiliate's got to have 2,000 people, or you got to have 10 times as many affiliates with 200 people or whatever. So it's interesting. Anyone can throw out.
Saw the Jew Indian brain working, right? Everyone, that's
there it is. It just broke down right.
Simple math. You just saw it just crunching numbers.
In front of your eyes.
I apologize. Go ahead. Yes, thank you.
But the question is, how? Mm-hmm. So let me give you, for instance, if you said, I imagine HQ sitting around and they go, okay, we're going to get to 30 million people. Okay, how many people are going to do the opening this year? 300,000. Okay, 300,000. That's like 100th of 30 million. What's our goal as the open applies? Well, I bet you everyone around the table says, well, we want to get that up. We want to get more people in the open this year than last year. Okay, end the meeting. Okay, yes. I know, we'll send out an email every day that says do the open and it's part of the community, and okay, and
cartoon characters, yeah.
And that'll get you 100 times as many people? Well, no. Okay. Well, then let's ask the question. What would get the open from 300,000 to 1 million people in the next 2 or 3 years? If you want 1 million people to do the open in the next few years, the affiliates have to want people to do the open.
Mm-hmm.
I do the open because people are going to complain if I don't do it. So I do what I have to do. So the 10% of my organization that wants to do the open can be happy. And I'll try to minimize the annoyance to the other 90% of the organization that can't do open gym that day or whatever the case may be. There's nothing in it for the affiliate to do the open. There's no collaboration.
Yep.
If you want to collaborate, then you have to get over, in my opinion, the mentality that the affiliates are on their own. We're HQ. What HQ's income stream is HQ's income stream. The affiliates go forth and multiply. We love you. We love you. We love you. It's all about the affiliates. How about the open fee is not $20, it's $30, and 15 goes to the affiliate as they validate the scores, and 15 goes to HQ, let's say. Mm-hmm. Now, I've validated more scores than anyone on the planet for the open, but I do it, to make my members happy. Then I find out if I don't tell them about it, less of them care about it. But to me, there should be an incentive for the affiliates to want to get people to do the open.
Dude, what?
Yeah,
that's a fucking brilliant idea you just said. What's the drawback of that? Can you think of one drawback from that? Let me make one up. Less people affiliate. Less people sign up for the open.
Why?
Because it's now $30.
I would argue that more would, because now you've incentivized the affiliates to push it. And especially too, Harry just talked about validating the scores. That's one of the easier parts. Think about throwing the whole event and managing all the personalities and getting the heat times. I mean, you have to redo that week after week after week. That's a lot of work.
Really, if you think about I know Two Brain Business, puts.
I know. So sorry, real quick. I just want to acknowledge one thing. Jacqueline. So there's so many comments, Harry. Interesting and easy solution. I know. Fucking Harry. I'm loving this. Go on, Harry. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
I mean, lots of affiliates spend a lot of money and do an extra charge to do Friday night lights, but that kind of sucks for the members because they feel I have a membership. I don't want to pay anything extra. I think if you made it $30, look, maybe the number's not $30.
Whatever. Yeah, that's the spirit of what you're saying. I hear you.
let's put our toe in the water. Let's say next year it's going to be $25.
Hey, 30 is not too much. It's $10 per workout. Yep. And to be honest with you, what HQ should do is they should say the stuff that the affiliates can't say. The affiliates can't say, oh my God, can you please do it? That $1,500 would be really help me a lot. What HQ needs to say is, don't be a pussy and support your affiliates. These people are doing God's work. You want to help your affiliate, enter the open. It helps your affiliate. It's a great thing for the community. It's a great thing for planet Earth. If HQ needs to say the stuff the affiliates can't say about themselves.
Well, look,
right?
If you're going to worry about prices, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to get to 30 million people, right? Were you going to cut the price? Make the open $1, right? Well, how are you going to do it? You've got to actually grow it. And so here HQ has the resources of all these affiliates who do all this work. And we're not pulling in the same direction. We're simply, I do my own thing. HQ does its own thing. I don't say anything bad about HQ, not because I'm holding back. I have nothing bad to say about HQ. I just think they have all kinds of opportunities to collaborate with the affiliates. But somehow the mindset's been, our money's our money, the affiliates' money's the affiliates' money. We help you by putting up some resources on the website. But the idea that we work together is just a foreign idea.
Where's the intersection? There is none. The intersection is when you write your yearly check, the fact that they require you to get the L1. There's no intersection. It's 100% transactional going one way. It's very interesting.
So I think I'm switching to another. Am I still in? I had to switch.
You switch to your burner phone.
Yes. So here's another thing that HQ could be doing that would make money for HQ and would make money for the affiliates. Let's say you show up in City X and you want to.
Hey, that's never happened in a show where someone switches phones on the fly like that. That was beautiful. By the way,
very well done.
That was amazing. Amazing.
I had assistance, but if someone wants to drop in an affiliate, what's the process? The process is you show up in town, you Google what's near me, you then start sending emails. There's a conversation that goes back and forth. Maybe you find the right link on the website to drop in. Maybe they answer. Maybe they're like me for a couple of years. We don't take drop-ins, so now there has to be emails back and forth. If I were running HQ, I would actually have a thing called a membership in CrossFit Incorporated or a CrossFit HQ. I'm making up a number, $25 a year. Right now, I have a CrossFit membership. What is that?
He's breaking up for me. I lost him.
Yeah, me too.
We can't hear you, Harry. Sorry. We can't hear you. We lost you.
I don't think you could hear us.
Oh, we lost you.
He's probably saying something really good right now, too.
We lost you. You're saying good shit and we lost you. Lost your audio.
And he's gone. Hey, that point that he was making, I had this discussion the other weekend when we were in Phoenix, and I was like, HQ went completely the wrong way with the incentivization for the Open this year, incentivizing people for the Open this year, because they were doing those cartoon characters and they're making a massive push. I think he's back in.
Sevan?
Yeah,
there
better. Okay. Yep, you're back in. Nice.
How far did I get before I cut out?
Pretty much right at the beginning when you started talking there.
Sorry. I think you should be able to drop in via the HQ website that they should have the equivalent of what ClassPass has. ClassPass has, I want to do a class at this gym. I do it all through ClassPass. ClassPass sends the gym the money. HQ should be able to do that for drop-ins. And
I don't understand what that is. Can you explain that to me? I'm not familiar with what that is. What is that?
ClassPass is? So ClassPass is one of those, we suck all the money out of your business like Grubhub and all the other things because you have excess capacity. So someone joins ClassPass and then it says you can go to any one of these gyms and get 5 drop-ins or 5 visits per month or whatever you do. And then I say, okay, I'm going to go to Soul Cycle on Thursday, and they take all the arrangements through ClassPass, and then Soul Cycle gets, half or a third of their drop-in rate. But HQ's in a great position that they could say they could arrange the drop-ins. They should have a portal. You should be able to link to it. They should be able to collect the money so that when someone doesn't show up, the affiliate still gets paid. It's the beginning of some sort of collaboration between HQ and the affiliates.
Yeah, that it's very when you point it out, and did no one get fixated on the solutions we're offering? He's pointing out just what's more important here is that they're not on the same page. That's the takeaway here, and that getting on the same page would bring a lot of value to everyone.
I think it dates back to the mentality early on that we don't want to take anything from the affiliates. We ended up running two completely separate businesses. And if you want to actually grow the pie, you got to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. If we're all in the same boat, we got to row in the same direction. Otherwise, we're not really getting anywhere, right?
Or look, where's another thing CrossFit makes money on certs?
Right.
Where do the people for certs come from? They come from the affiliates. You know, I've probably sent 100 people to do the L1 cert. I probably could have sent 400 people to do the L1 cert. But if I did, HQ wouldn't know or care or count it.
Yep, we've touched on that point quite a bit too.
If you were a member, you got a discount on your membership if you have an L1 cert because you can be more helpful to the other members. You know, you're not the coach, but we stopped doing. There's nothing in it for us to do that. But if HQ encouraged the affiliates to do it, they would. They could probably double the number of people doing certs by simply doing some minor. Right now, HQ is the equivalent of a company that sells things, but they don't pay commission to the salespeople, or they don't have salespeople. They go, we sell these things, just show up and come and get them. Whereas they've got a built-in system of sales generators that they don't use.
Yeah, the affiliates are their salespeople. And like you had said, if there was some sort of like, hey, if you have an affiliate and you get a discount, so you could send a couple of your people over. Uh-oh, did we lose him again? Then you'd push more people to the L1. Essentially, we've chatted about that before too.
I'm starting to think, you know, when we start having these conversations, I start wondering what HQ even does.
Yeah, especially when someone like Harry just breaks it down right away.
I'm
when
just
he
like, well, fuck,
what
you guys actually don't do anything. You're sitting on the brand.
Yep.
And at least Greg was litigating, educating, and legislating. And now I'm just like, what does HQ do?
Right.
Like I start to wonder.
Well, right when he contextualized Don's thing, and he goes, okay, so if we still have 15,000 gyms, that means each gym has to have 2,000 members.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, shit. How are you going to make that happen?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, once you start doing the math, it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he switched phones again.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I like it.
Anyway, that's sort of, and it doesn't really change that we could be in the same business. The affiliates are not in the same business as HQ. HQ's all figuring out how to increase membership 20-fold, and the affiliates are trying to like get through the day.
Would you if you in hindsight, are you glad you took off on this journey? Are you glad you're a gym owner? Would you recommend this to someone else?
Those are multiple different questions.
So let's start with number one. Are you glad you started off on this journey?
Yes.
Would you recommend someone to start a gym on their own?
No.
And what if they're determined? What would be, or what? Why do you say no? Why do you say no?
I think it's dangerous running a non-essential business in this country.
Wow.
Unless you live in one of those states that recognizes all businesses are essential. If you live in a state like New York, I would never do it again. And
Did you ever think about leaving New York?
Well, I don't think I can move to Montana and keep the CrossFit NYC name and make it work. But no, I've lived in Manhattan more or less all my life. And so
hey, you don't think you could? That's an interesting question. Could you take CrossFit New York City and move to fucking Naples, Florida?
I mean, I think I could. I think you can. You obviously can. I've moved my affiliate a couple times within New York. I don't know that there's a rule, but it wouldn't do me a lot of good, right? Because if people Google CrossFit and New York City because they're in New York City, and they go, no, we're the one in Montana or Naples, Florida, that really wouldn't do me much good. So you got to be in New York to make it work.
Harry, what do you have any other business ventures or hobbies? Are you a painter? Are you you brought some innovation to the toothpick? I mean, is there anything else? Or are you just full-time gym dude? Are you retired? Like, would you say you're retired and this is your hobby?
I mean, I think it's become a lot more than a hobby.
Yeah, 700 members is crazy.
Yep.
And we took on a lot of debt to get through COVID, and I've got a lot of debt on the business, so it's a tough job right now.
Do you go to the CrossFit Games?
No.
Does any of that stuff interest you at all to go there?
I do the Open, and I think one of the great things about the Open is it gives me a reason to look forward to getting older. The weights get lower. I'm looking forward to them having a 70 and over category and, lowering the weights and the heights a little bit more. So I still work out. I'm not competitive enough. I'd hope to make it to the quarterfinals this year, and I don't think that's going to happen. But yes, I still work out.
This collaboration idea, do you have any other ideas? Someone sent me a DM the other day, direct message, and they said to me, hey, it's crazy that you can submit a video to get into the Open. Like, how about show some fucking loyalty to the affiliates and make it like, hey, if you want to do the Open, you have to go to a fucking affiliate. And I was like, I mean, even if they lost 1,000 people, like, I think that sends such a good message to affiliates.
So, I mean, CrossFit's locked into a lot of decisions they made early on, right? In the early days, lots of people worked out in garage gyms. They said they want to make it as accessible as possible. And so that's still there. And it's one of those things that remains. I don't know. I'm glad it's there because I really don't want a zillion people dropping in a random way. I can understand why affiliates do that. They could do 5 or 10 more drop-ins. So that's an interesting question. But if you're going to grow to 30 million people, you're probably going to have to include a lot of people that are able to work out on their own. Not everyone's going to go to an affiliate. There should be room for growth in both directions. So,
well, when you look into the future of CrossFit, is there anything that you see? Do you think it's going to grow, or do you think that it's sort of going to stay the same?
I think it's going to stay the same because the other area that I'd say CrossFit is failing is in explaining what CrossFit is. And I think Glassman's great contributions were defining fitness in a tangible way. We all know now what the CrossFit definition of fitness is. But what's the definition of CrossFit? Functional movements performed at high intensity. That's a terrible, terrible, inadequate definition, because with that definition, tell me why Orange Theory is in CrossFit. You there?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm listening to you. I'm nodding. Yeah. I'm here.
Because anyone that does functional movements at high intensity is CrossFitting. Okay. Now, we both know that definition's inadequate. If I walk into a gym anywhere in the world and there are no barbells, am I in a CrossFit gym? No.
Probably not.
Right. If I walk into Barry's boot camp, I know I'm not in a CrossFit gym.
Right.
If I walk into a gym and there are no pull-up bars, I know I'm not in a CrossFit gym. Yet the definition of CrossFit has nothing to do with the range. We all know that there's not going to be an Open that just consists of burpees, box step ups.
Is it the definition or different mantras? Because Greg used to give us new mantras all the time. Like, we have a cure for the world's most vexing problem. We're lifeboats in a world where you need to get on a lifeboat. I mean, there were these constant kind of descriptions coming out.
And as a result, there's nothing.
Say that again.
As a result, there is no common definition. There's no common understanding of what CrossFit is. CrossFit doesn't do anything to distinguish itself from all the copycats that took a piece of CrossFit and say, that's enough. This boot camp, this theory, this whatever it is, right?
Interesting.
CrossFit should actually come out and say what the hell it is and why. Right. When we say, if you look at the last 100 emails of the day, there's 25 profiles of how CrossFit changed my life, saved my life, blah, blah, blah. But nobody really knows why won't Orange Theory do the same thing? there's an answer to that question.
Yeah.
But no one's answering it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
It's magic.
Exactly. We're not going to tell you what it is. Our religion's better than their religion. Okay, tell me something about what you believe or what makes it work. Our religion will save you. Okay, why won't the others?
Great point.
Harry, I really appreciate you coming on. Is there before we part ways, is there any subject you want to touch on that? I know that there's definitely many stones we didn't turn over. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, the only thing that I want to say, in case it didn't come across, is I'm rooting for CrossFit.
Right, it came across.
I'm rooting for HQ. I wish them nothing but the best. What I'm saying is, I don't know how to help you succeed if you don't
tell me. Yeah, you didn't come across cynical at all. Cynical at all. I think you came across optimistic and more than doing your part. You feel more like a soldier who's ready to take orders.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
Hey, you're always welcome on the show. I enjoyed talking to you. You're a cool dude. You're fun.
Thanks.
You're smart. I like you.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Will you have my number if you ever want to text anything? You're ever out on the West Coast? If I'm ever on the East Coast, I'd love to hang with you. I don't see myself ever leaving my house though.
Sounds great. I'll see you again.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Bye.
Awesome. This is the frustration with the world. This is the frustration from talking at 50,000 feet, because there's people at the 500-foot mark who just always fucking miss the message.
Yeah.
You're trapped under a burning car. Example is cool. Based on that logic, there should be no women police officers. Men are stronger. Science. Strength is all that matters with cops, I guess. Hand on foot. Dude, like, you just ran with that. You just were trapped in your head and you ran with it. It has nothing to do with that. What I said has nothing to do with what you just said at the beginning of the show. Nothing. 12 daily doses of zero. My point is, you don't make things easier to try to get an outcome. I don't care what the fucking test is. Make the test. A cop should be able to run this fast to save the most amount of people, lift this much, be able to do this math, be able to speak to people in this eloquence of a tone, be able to drive a car. I don't care what the fucking test is, you fucking dipshit. The point is, you don't lower the bar to get more Armenians in, or to get more girls in, or to get more boys in, or to get more Jews in. You fucking retard, because it could be my mom and that fucking who needs assistance from the police. Do you understand that? You fucking myopic douche. You're a fucking snail. You're the problem with fucking society. Stay in your fucking lane and don't think. It's always been an insecurity of mine to be misunderstood. As a child, I was such a little baby about it. I really hate being misunderstood. I need to get over it. It's probably because I care what people think and I'm so insecure. But you have completely fucking missed the point. Myopic. Thank you, Trish. Myopic. What did I say? Myopic. Thank you.
Either way, I thought you made it clear at the beginning when you said, I don't care who the person is. We just want to know the qualifications for the job, and then find the best person who meets those qualifications or exceeds those qualifications of the job, not change the qualifications of the job, because you can't change the nature of the job by lowering the qualifications. The job is still going to be the job. We could pretend that we can move the qualifications to make you qualified for the job, but at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, the job's a fucking job. And either you're adequately qualified for it or you are not.
I don't care what the qualifications are for a fucking cop, as long as it's what's best for when my son needs help getting out of a burning building. They got the right dude, the right fucking tranny, the right fucking brother, the right fucking Chinaman. I don't care. And you fucking idiots who think that the DEI Council is to make sure that we don't push homos away or Jews away or Armenians away. You're fucking wrong. They're openly fucking choosing people based on that, and they say that. And every time you celebrate those things overtly, you're fucking just putting the shackles on the people again. Like that thing fucking that we talked about that Danny Spiegel did. You're not setting anyone free.
Yeah.
What if she would have taken the time instead of making that video? She would have just talked about how hard she works. She's doing the same thing LeBron is doing. Just give us the fuck. It's her just jerking off on herself. It's LeBron just jerking off. No one cares that you're the first woman or that you're strong or you broke some mold because your ass has a circumference of 78 inches and you're still hot. Like, no one cares. Just tell us how you did it so we can do it.
Yeah, and if you lower
walk around with your chest up and just tell us how you did it. No one, you're just jerking off on yourself.
If you lower the standards so that way certain groups of people can fit into it, you can't change the job though, the nature of the job. So what happens when I push those standards lower? Because as the commenter just said back, women bring shit to the table that many men cannot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. But what the fuck does that have to do with the job and the qualifications of the job? I would love to be able to change it. Hey, Sevan, let's make sure nobody breaks the law in a manner that not any group could fix the problem with. Okay, so hey guys, we all disagreed. Nobody flip over any cars or nobody do anything heavier than 50 pounds needs to be lifted off them. Because if you guys have that emergency, we changed it. Look,
this person's still stuck. Listen. This person's still stuck. You do lower the bar to get women in there, you idiot. Oh my, dude, are you not listening?
Hey,
women being bringing shit to the table that men cannot. Fantastic. No one's arguing that. Do you understand that? The running standard doesn't make oh my God. No shit. The running standard doesn't make the best cop. Dude, I swear to God, you must be a fucking miserable person.
Just stuck.
You're just stuck, dude.
It's like looking like this.
It doesn't matter. You're right. Everything you're saying is right.
But it doesn't change the fact of what we're presenting.
Yeah. You're not listening to what we're presenting. You know why? Do you know why? Is because you're stuck in something. It's like when the orange-haired guy talks, it just pisses people off.
Oh yeah, they don't move
and they can't listen.
Words.
Yeah. You're stuck. Something I said is like upset you. Like you feel like you have to defend women or something. I don't know what it is.
It's definitely the defense of women. That's 100. I mean, you could read that,
but it has nothing to do with women. What we're saying, zero.
No, it has nothing to do with.
Has nothing to do with vaginas, titties, nothing. We're not talking about women.
And we're not degrading them or saying they're not qualified.
Yeah, just stop looking down at the ground and look up a little bit, or climb on a ladder.
Yeah, that's the issue with that. They're just
no. You tried to call my personal number, Jethro. You fucking ding dong.
Why can't you understand like dumb? Oh, this could be good.
Why can't you understand that dumb standards like running standards were keeping some of the best cops out of the profession? How do you miss this?
Wow. At this point, I think they did it just screw with us.
First of all, stop, dude. You're first of all, fine, you win. But first, you win. But here, I'm going to come down to your level just for a second. Tell you this, dude. The article states it's to get women in. Do you know what a woman is? It's someone with a vagina. It's not to get the best cops in. It's to do what you want. It's appealing to you. That's not what we're talking about. Now you've pivoted. You're conflating between getting women in and best cops in. I don't know what the criteria is for best cops, dude. That's not the point. Okay, I got to go. I'm taking my kids to tennis. Love you guys. 12 daily doses of stuff. I apologize for calling you names. I was very passionate. I mean that too. I don't want to call anyone names. Maybe like a ding dong. Okay, I'm just an insecure little man who, if I get misunderstood, I get frustrated. Sorry. And I appreciate you listening, and please donate money. Okay, get your Paper Street coffee, get juiced up on California hormones. I love you guys. Susie, you the man. I'll see you tonight at the party. And bye-bye.